Welcome to the webinar with the title Water and Wastewater Opportunities in Turkey. My name is Andreas Pedersen, and on behalf of the Danish Export Association, as well as the the Trade Council of Denmark in Istanbul in Turkey, welcome to this webinar focusing, as mentioned, on water and wastewater opportunities in Turkey. The challenges ahead are considerable. With population growth and climate change risks, design and management of water infrastructure is becoming more complex. Water operators need to adapt to changes in supply, demand, and regulation, and bring greater flexibility and efficiency to their assets and operations. We will touch upon this today, but before introducing today's agenda, allow me just to briefly touch upon some practicalities for this webinar. Please note that the webinar is being recorded, and we will include all presentations from the speakers in a follow-up email going out to you shortly after this webinar is over. Remember also that you can change your settings in Zoom, and you can adjust your name just by clicking below your picture frame. You can click on your name, so please rename your name if it's not coherent with your company name, etc. This way we can easily chat with each other in the chat function and see who's responding to your questions. We will make sure to put spotlight on every speaker, but you're also able to change the settings in Zoom. You can have a full picture screen, but you could also click on your right-hand side in the top and change it to a gallery view. With that being said, please put on your camera and turn off your mic if you're not one of the speakers. That is highly appreciated. Thank you. Finally, we do encourage you to engage in this webinar by asking questions or comments or comment in the chat. We do have a Q&A session in the end of the webinar, but after each presentation, we also take a few questions. My colleague Rika from the Danish Export Association, she will be overlooking the chat and helping out with the technical settings, so I believe we are in good hands. All right, let's see a little bit more about the agenda of today. We will of course have a short welcome and introduction part, and then during the next 1.5 hours, the webinar focusing on Turkey will give you the latest updates on country facts for Turkey, an overview of the challenges and opportunities in the Turkish water and wastewater market, including the outcome from technical workshop with Aarhusvand and local water utilities in Turkey. We will also share some findings from a report on SDG 6, a report made by the Resource, Environment and Climate Association in Turkey. Finally, we will also present a market case from one of the local established Danish companies, namely ABK Turkey. We will end this webinar, as mentioned, with a Q&A session before going into the wrap-up and next steps in the dialogue between Denmark and Turkey. Without further ado, I would like to conclude my introduction part of this webinar, and I'm happy to give the floor to Seda, Kayrak, Bilgen, Senior Trade Manager and Team Leader for Energy and Environment at the Royal Danish Consulate General in Istanbul. She will introduce us to all the speakers, and the first one being the ambassador. So we are also happy that he is on board with this program and ready to share with us his knowledge and experience about the politics and what is going on in Turkey at the moment. But please, Seda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andreas. Dear all, welcome to our webinar on water and wastewater opportunities opportunities and challenges in Turkey. I am Seda Kayrak, working at the Trade Council of Denmark in Istanbul, which is part of the Royal Danish Consulate, for more than 15 years. And my main role is assisting the Danish companies and stakeholders in the Turkish market with export, investment, and partnership-related matters. So throughout the years, water, wastewater, energy efficiency, renewable energy, urbanization, smart cities are the subject of my focus. Having said that, I would like to give the floor to our ambassador, His Excellency Annan, ambassador of Denmark to Turkey, to talk about some country facts about Turkey. The floor is yours, Dani. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Seda. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers. It is clear from the high number of participants at this seminar that today's topic on water and wastewater solutions is not only high on the agenda for many of us, but also that we believe the topic holds good scope for cooperation between Denmark and Turkey. I do know from my previous positions that Denmark has a lot to offer when it comes to water and wastewater solutions. I can also see, and I've also experienced, that the very dynamic country Turkey is in need of such solutions, and that is of course primarily due to the significant economic growth, but also the climate change challenges and also the growth in population. In my brief intervention, I would like to share a few comments on the economy and also on the bilateral trade in order for me to set the scene for the following presentations. Turkey is the world's 19th largest economy with a GDP of a bit more than $9,000 per capita. That makes Turkey an upper middle income country. Considering last year and all its challenges, the economy still managed to grow 1.8%, mainly as a result of doubling of lending by state banks in the second half of the year to offset the effects of the corona restrictions and curbs on business. Furthermore, Turkey is an attractive emerging market due to its 83 million strong population of young and dynamic people, a well-educated labor force and competitive wage levels. Turkey is classified as an emerging market economy and is one of the world's biggest producers of agricultural products, textiles, motor vehicles, ships and other transportation equipment and construction materials. In most of these sectors, water is an important resource and wastewater a major challenge. Despite the ups and downs, Turkey is still an EU candidate country and has since 1996 been a member of the EU Customs Union, which means free movement of goods. This has led to the fact that today EU is Turkey's biggest export market, and Turkey is EU's fourth largest export market. Despite continued challenges, Turkey's ranking in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index has also improved. Turkey is now listed as number 33 out of 190 countries with regards to the ease of doing business in. That was in 2020 and up 10 positions from 2019. Focusing on the economic relations between Denmark and Turkey, Turkey is our 20th biggest export market, and the overall trade volume between our two countries is almost $2 billion. During the last Joint Economic Committee meeting between Denmark and Turkey last year, October, both sides agreed upon a very ambitious, I have to say, increasing bilateral trade to $5 billion. I must say that we have started off 2021 with an impressive start. Danish exports to Turkey in the month of January compared to last year increased with more than 12%. So I hope that trend will continue, and I hope that your good efforts will contribute to that. In Turkey, we have around 690 Danish smaller or larger companies registered. The most well-known are Danfoss, Maersk, Grundfos, ISS, Vestas, Novo, Hubbel, Lego, AVK, and DSV, but many other companies are also present here. There are also many more Danish companies doing business in Turkey through distributors and agents using Turkey as a regional hub. Coming to the topic of the webinar today, it is well known that water is a scarce resource that is under increasing pressure. According to the UN, global water consumption will increase by 30% by 2030 due to population growth and increased wealth. By treating water as a valuable and vital resource that it is, Denmark has been able to reduce water consumption by almost 40% since 1980, and at the same time increase energy efficiency throughout the water cycle. For Denmark and Danish companies, the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 6 has been a guiding principle in our efforts to contribute to a greener, more sustainable and resilient world. As mentioned at the start of my speech, I do believe that our experience and Danish water solutions has good opportunities to be applied in Turkey. So I do sincerely hope that this webinar will facilitate further strategic cooperation between Denmark and Turkey on water and wastewater solutions, where the Danish Trade Council in Turkey and the Danish Export Association are ready to organize export and partnership promotion events in the near future. We look very much forward to the continued cooperation. Thank you very much, Seda.
Dear Ambassador, thank you so much. I already wrote to the chat box. If there are any questions to the Ambassador, you can write it to the chat box, which I haven't seen any, but you can also just raise hand now and just ask your questions if there is any.
If not, then I have a question, Seda, that we could perhaps ask the ambassador, and that's that's the impact of COVID-19 on the water sector overall. How is the impact of COVID-19 in doing business in Turkey at the moment? Perhaps that's a better question for you, Mr. Ambassador.
There is one major challenge at the moment for Danish companies. Unfortunately, Denmark is on a Turkish blacklist together with the UK, Brazil, and South Africa. They consider the COVID-19 situation in Denmark as being so bad that we are on this blacklist. The blacklist is valid until the 22nd of April. We have to see if they extend the restrictions. But the restrictions is that if you come, first of all, there are no direct flights you cannot fly directly from Denmark to Turkey. You can only go through Istanbul if you are transiting to a third country. So if you, as a businessman or woman, need to travel to Denmark, you need to find another route to go to Turkey. And then when you arrive in Turkey, you're not allowed to do anything. You need to go into a quarantine of 7 days. And then you need to do a PCR test. And if that is negative, then you can actually start your program. And it is, of course, not a lot of companies that can set aside 1 full week for quarantine for a business visit to Turkey. So in recent months, we have seen very, very few business people arriving in Turkey. But we do hope that with the vaccine rollout, that soon things will be more normal and we can get back to business as usual. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny. But at the end of this webinar, we will for sure share trade councils and consulates contact details, and if there are any further questions to us and to Danny, we will be happy to answer afterwards. Thank you so much again. And now I will give the floor to myself, actually, to talk about some of the challenges and opportunities in the Turkish market. And as Danny mentioned, these are challenging times for sure. And water is, of course, water is life, water is essential. And despite all the things, all the challenges arising due to COVID-19, we have to think in the long term when we look at the water sector. So in my presentation, I would like to just mention about a few facts about the Turkish water market, water and wastewater market. And it's a long presentation which will be shared afterwards. And I have to, of course, keep in the limits of this presentation. And at the end, I will just give the floor to Fleming Pedersen from Oriswand to explain further about our strategic cooperation with Oriswand. So starting from last year, the Danish Council and Trade Council in Istanbul started a strategic focus on water and wastewater sector. And we have this cooperation ongoing with Oriswand. So coming to some market facts, with this presentation, I'd like to just create a picture on Turkey in some elements. And the first thing is, yes, Turkey is not a water rich country. And it is very much still an agricultural country in the sense that how we use water. And as you see in the figures, still 74% of the water used among the fresh water is for agriculture. And when you dig down further, it's not very efficient use of water in the agriculture sector, which needs a lot of improvements actually. And in this chart on the left is the figures for Turkey, where our population is around 83 million, and on the right is 5.8 is Denmark. So just for you to understand the level. And today we have 83 million population, and in 2030, it is expected that Turkey will be around 100 million population. And when we look at the water per capita usage, we will be a water stress country with 1,000 meters cube water usage, which is of course, which needs some precautions to be taken immediately. The second thing I would like to mention is pollution. So this is a problem when we look at the water and wastewater sector in Turkey. Yes, of course, we are a EU candidate country, and we adapted lots of EU acquis, including the water sector, but it is still like the discharge of dirty water, wastewater to the river basins is still problematic, which needs some integrated water resource management from different angles. Another thing I want to mention is efficiency, water efficiency. And when we look at the figures, Turkey is much less efficient than in high-income countries. Like an example is GDP per ton of water used in Turkey is only about 40% of the high-income countries. So there are a lot of improvements. There is a room for improvement in terms of the efficiency. And when we look at the non-revenue water figures in Turkey, we have 81 cities, and even in Istanbul, in big cities, of course, water management and loss of water is a problem, and non-revenue water is more than 35%. And in Turkey in general, it's an area that needs improvement. And the next thing I want to mention is drought. Turkey is located in a region which is like with Mediterranean macroclimate region, and more and more we are just having the impact of the climate change, and so the droughts in certain cities of Turkey. On the right, you can just see the situation actually. So more and more, especially in the big cities like Ankara, Istanbul, Izmir, and all around Turkey, we can feel the impact of the drought. And in terms of the amount of annual rain, we are below the world average. So it is a serious upcoming problem for Turkey, which is of course related with very much related with the efficient use of water. And on the other side of the coin, flood is also a problem in Turkey, where in some parts the climate is very dry and there is a risk of drought, but in the others, floods are also seen a lot in this new climate change environment. And when we look at some sector potential and new developments, the relevant ministries and relevant stakeholders are very much aware of these problems and precautions to be taken. So there are actions to be taken on active flood management, active drought management, and river basin management and reuse of water, where when we look at other areas like wastewater treatment projects, etc., currently more than 100 new water treatment projects are in the plan. And so a lot of areas are in the action plan of the Ministry of Environment and Urbanization. And when we look at some decision makers in the water sector, it is the Ministry of Environment and Urbanization and municipalities for sure. And I just put like a Bank of Provinces, like, of course, it is not a key decision maker, but finance is financing these investments are critical in every country, including Turkey. And some other actors is Union of Municipalities in Turkey, Marmara Union of Municipalities in Turkey, which the Danish Council and Trade Council of Denmark is strategically cooperating with them with a focus on the water and wastewater sectors. So what we did so far on water and wastewater sectors, we cooperated with ORS1 to take the inspiration from Danish utility and to share it with the Turkish utilities. And through our cooperation with Marmara Union of Municipalities and Turkish Union of Municipalities, we did a series of webinars so far, which my colleague Fleming is going to mention more, but I just want to move to some opportunities for Danish companies, like, of course, as my ambassador mentioned, in order to be present in Turkey, local presence is key. And language is key. So partnership with Turkish companies through distributorships, sales agencies is very much seen. And nowadays, I think I also want to mention about this local production opportunity in Turkey, because in terms of the supply chains, I think every company notices the importance of a alternative and reliable and sustainable supply chain in the midst of COVID-19, where Turkey just appears to be a great alternative for Asia and Far East countries that can create problems in during and after the COVID-19. And I can just mention that Turkey is also chosen as a pilot country for supply chain development for the Danish companies by the Danish Foreign Ministry. So currently we have many companies looking for Turkey for outsourcing opportunities and to use it as an alternative for supply chain. Last but not least, I will just mention about the doing business culture, which is we are a Mediterranean country, so it is a bit different comparing to Denmark in terms of doing business, and our role as the Trade Council is also managing and balancing these differences. So in Turkey, relationships is important, establishing these relationships, and before just talking about the key aspects of business, before just drinking your tea and asking about how is your children kind of a conversation, which is of course not possible nowadays. So, and the way of doing business is more informal comparing to... Sorry, I hear someone is talking. Can we just close the, mute the microphone? And so it's a hierarchical doing business culture. And it's a very maybe short-term horizon in doing business, because of maybe in one day in Turkey, a lot of things are happening comparing to Denmark. But again, these were written before the COVID-19, and I think the way that we will do business is a bit short-sighted nowadays due to COVID-19. And so this is a general introduction to the Turkish water market with a few remarks on doing business. And I just want to give the floor to Flemming Pedersen from Orswand, which we are cooperating since December last year, where we did three webinars with Orswand and Marmara Union of Municipalities, with a focus on energy neutral water management and non-revenue water and river basin management. So Flemming, are you there? You can
yes,
just...
I'm here. Yes.
Okay, I am just... yes, hi Flemming, welcome.
Hi, Seda.
So I just want to ask you a few questions about our cooperation so far, because I think although you haven't physically been able to come down, we have some efficient webinars that you met to Turkish stakeholders. So can you please share your experiences on these workshops where we cooperated with Marmara Union of Municipalities?
Yes, that's correct, Seda. We have been together with you at the Consulate in Istanbul co-organizing these three webinars with different topics, focusing on different challenges that we have in the water sector in Denmark as well as in Turkey. On the Turkish side, they have been very efficiently organized by Marmara Union of Municipalities and Turkish Union of Municipalities. And I guess at each seminar we have had more than 100 participants, I guess up to maybe 200 participants. So quite big interest on the Turkish side from the Turkish water sector, and very good discussions too on the presentations. So a big interest from the Turkish side, I must say. The first webinar we had was focusing much on water sector operations and energy production in sewage treatment plants, which is also highly relevant in Turkey, and we have worked a lot with that in Denmark for many years. And at that webinar, we also had a keynote speak from our technical mayor in the city of Aarhus, Benjamin Simsek, which is also has Turkish relations. So that also underlines the relations between our two countries, I believe. The second one webinar we had focused much on the regulation. In Denmark, in the water sector, we are subject to quite harsh regulations, subject to benchmarking and annual savings on both operational cost and capital expenses. So that has driven a lot of efficiency in the Danish water sector, and also, for instance, in terms of non-revenue water loss in the water supply system, which is a big topic in Turkey in many cities. We have worked a lot with that for many years in Denmark, and in our utility we are around 4% now, which is quite low also on a global scale. So of course we have a lot of approaches, technologies that we can discuss with our Turkish partners in how to reduce water loss. The third webinar we had also addressed regulation, but this time more on basin level, water resource level, because we discussed the Water Frame Directive, which we are subject to here in Denmark by the EU law, and water scarcity is a big topic in Turkey, and drought is a big topic. We don't have similar challenges in Denmark, but still we have quite much experience in advanced use of data for managing of the water resources, and we have good methodologies that we can discuss with our Turkish partners that can also assist there.
Thank you so much, Fleming. And my last question will be like, what opportunities do you foresee for both Danish companies and Danish stakeholders like yourself in the Turkish market?
Yeah, from our end, we have for many years been involved in these water technology alliances around the world. It's been active in the US for, I guess, 6-7 years now, and it's proven to be quite successful way of cooperation between a public-owned utility as us and the private companies that want to have activities on these markets here. So we have many experience that we can come in as a utility and serve as sort of a door opener or a trusted partner together with the utilities in the countries we're active in, and I guess that could be a very good model in Turkey as well, forming this kind of water technology alliance. As I mentioned, it's been active in the US for many years, and we are in the Emirates as well. Germany, we are active in these kind of cooperations. So I guess that is one way forward to establish more activity from the Danish water technology companies in Turkey.
Thank you so much, Fleming. I think that will be our next step to build a water alliance in Turkey, that we can act more strategically in the water sector. Thank you again. And our next speaker will be Rıfat, Ünal, Sayman from REC Turkey, and the relationship with them is also as a result of our strategic focus on water and wastewater, that we asked REC to make a report for us. It's a regional report, but we asked Ünal Bey to present their findings on Istanbul with a clear focus on SDG 6, which we increase our focus a lot on the several SDGs, and clean water and sanitation is one of them. Ünal Bey, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Seda, thank you very much. I think my screen is shared, right? And everybody can hear me. Okay, I think that's great. As Seda mentioned, we were implementing a project in Belgrade, Bucharest, Istanbul, and Zagreb with the support of the Danish embassy. I would like to thank to them for their support, also organizing this important event and also inviting me as a speaker. Oops. In our project, we worked on 4 countries in the Balkan region, or more contemporary naming Southeast Europe. These countries were Croatia, Serbia, Romania, and Turkey. And we worked on 4 different cities: Zagreb, Belgrade, and Bucharest, and Istanbul from Turkey. These region and these cities are historically connected, not only from a human point of view, but also from the nature point of view. What happens in Belgrade or Zagreb in terms of water management directly affects Istanbul, because they are part of the Danube region. Sava and Danube is passing through Belgrade, and it ends up in Black Sea. And Istanbul is one of the important cities in the Black Sea. Also, historically, an important note, in the Ottoman Empire, most of the, if we name them with today's titles, most of the water engineers were from Belgrade. This is why in the north of Istanbul, there's a forest called Belgrade Forest, because all these engineers, they were belonging into the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century. They were living in this part of Istanbul, and they were mainly responsible from the management and administration of the water of Istanbul. We started our project in December and recently completed it. And as Seda mentioned, we focused on SDG 6 implementation in these cities. And SDG 6 has 8 targets and 11 indicators. I will not go in detail of all these targets and indicators, but I will just give an overview about these 4 countries and cities, and then I will move forward to Istanbul. As we can see, almost all these 4 countries are very similar in economic development. Serbia is clearly lowest. And what is very striking is the water scarcity in Istanbul. If you look at available water per capita for Istanbul is much more, significantly much more less than these other countries. Maybe this is one of the reasons among these 4 cities, Istanbul is one of the top performing together with Zagreb. And Belgrade is the worst performing, and this is quite surprising because, as I mentioned, they used to be the guys who were managing Istanbul's water, and they have Sava and Danube crossing through Belgrade. Unfortunately, the level of, you can see these 3 columns. The first one is the SDG 1, first indicator for SDG 6. Second and third indicator among the 11 indicators. They are the main indicators, we can say, in the SDG indicators. We can see that in all these countries, proportion of population who has access to the drinking water services and sanitation is quite high, but even sanitation is, if we consider as a European city, is low in Belgrade. But what is even more surprising, the level of domestic wastewater treatment is really low in Bucharest and Zagreb. And I was surprised that Belgrade is the only European city which does not have a domestic wastewater treatment center. So it is, they are discharging it to the Danube without any treatment, and they are now constructing the treatment facility. So we can say that overall Istanbul and also Zagreb, these are the top performing city among these. But if we look at the details, all these cities, we identified different investment needs. We can see that the red ones are the most important and urgent ones. And for the orange ones, these countries are in more or less better. And then the blue, they don't need, at least currently, they don't need investment. So if the Danish embassy will share our report later, this data will be accessible by the participants. So if we continue to Istanbul, water is extremely important in Istanbul. As I mentioned, it's a big city, and the water scarcity in Turkey is even high in Istanbul. And unfortunately, I said that, you know, Istanbul is performing better, but still, I can easily say that there are too many rooms for improvement, and there are too many needs for additional investments. First of all, for instance, I mentioned that the wastewater treatment in Istanbul is very high, but most of this treatment, I think around 65%, is pre-treatment. So if you look at here to the map, we can see the Istanbul as Asian part and the European part. And we can see here the plants. Istanbul has over 100 water treatment plants, water and wastewater treatment plants. And several of these plants are in the Bosphorus, and they are mainly pre-treatment centers. And Istanbul municipality wants to change these facilities and increase the rate of advanced biological treatment rate overall in the city. Stormwater coverage is only 65%, and there is still quite a high, for a city like 16 million, quite a high water loss rate, which is 22%. In Istanbul, in Turkey, this rate is above 40%, so Istanbul clearly performs much better, but still I think this is quite a high number. And if we talk about financial terms, non-revenue water rate is also very high. Almost 25% of the water is non-revenue water. Recently, the SCADA system has developed in Istanbul. I will also share in the next slide. For the water, it is almost 100% of the water is managed by the SCADA system. But for the wastewater supply, it is less than 50%. One of the important costs of the Istanbul water administration, which is İSKİ, is the electricity consumption. It is almost $100 million per year. Istanbul pays for the İSKİ pays for the electricity bill. Annual water consumption in Istanbul is around 1 million, and total available water around Istanbul is only 1.6 billion cubic meters. So the water is extremely scarce in Istanbul, we can say. The sewer system is mainly combined, and almost all water is coming from surface water. So considering all these facts, Istanbul is really under quite a high level of water management pressure. Recently, Istanbul opened a water control and automation center. This, which is called İSKOM, is part of the Istanbul's water administration, which is called İSKİ, İstanbul Su ve Kanalizasyon İdaresi. Istanbul has established this institution in 1984, and it was established by a national law. The administration is part of the municipality, but it has its own autonomous budget. And we can say it's a giant organization. It has around 10,000 staff. And I can say that the staff is quite experienced. And Istanbul's main problem in the water management is access to finance. So most of the issues or gaps in the water management in Istanbul is identified, but the city should reach to the more finance, and also affordability is also important for Istanbul. So as we can see, Istanbul is developing, but it is also a very difficult task. Daily, Istanbul's the water they are supplying is 3 million cubic meters. This is the daily figure. And what is interesting in Istanbul is, as I showed in the map, Istanbul has the Asian and European parts. 65% of the population lives in Istanbul and 35% lives in the Asian part. But in terms of water, it is quite the opposite. So 65% of the water is in Asian part, and only 35% is in the European part. And I said that, you know, due to the this extreme water scarcity, Istanbul is daily transferring water between continents to balance the need, especially the need coming from the European part. And this is quite a, I think, difficult task. And also this merge the basins, and it might also have some environmental issues. But overall, this is quite a significant operation. If, as a final presentation, if I highlight my points, the water stress, it is around 64%, is very high for Istanbul. This yearly almost 1.1 billion cubic meter, and daily average 3 million cubic meter. This should really, Istanbul should really consume less. This is too much. And well, this is not only about an issue of İSKİ, but overall Turkey and the municipality itself, because this is also part of awareness raising. But also Istanbul should decrease the decrease the loss rate, which is almost 23%. If we consider, for instance, Denmark, I think the loss rate is less than 10%, and most part in Copenhagen it should be much more lower. So Istanbul, a mega city with 16 million, should definitely decrease this loss rate. So stormwater management and stream remediation is very important for Istanbul, because each year, due to the water stress and due to the effects of the climate change, Istanbul really faces crisis. So adaptation to the extreme events is really important, and it's also relevant with the water stress. Wastewater treatment is definitely need to be upgraded. The preliminary wastewater treatment in the Bosphorus part of the city should be increased, and it should be decreased, I'm sorry, and then advanced biological treatment capacities should be increased. I think Istanbul's initial target for 2025 is to decrease the preliminary levels to 40% as a first step, but I think it should even go to lower levels. As I mentioned, electricity use is very important. It is almost $100 million per year, and Istanbul should use, water administration should produce its own electricity, and I think should try to increase the electricity efficiency in the management.
We have to be quick. We have to wrap up.
Just two comments. Wastewater reuse rate is only 2%. This can also be increased, and this could also decrease the water stress. And financially, Digitalization is very important for Istanbul. It is only 20%, but it should be increased. And one final point, as Seda shared on her presentation, the price of the water in Istanbul was looking much more cheaper. But we should not only focus on the price, but we should also focus on the affordability. This price for Istanbul is quite high if we consider the income of the people. So the affordability should also one of the priorities of İSKİ. Yes, and this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation coming directly from the SDG 6 report on Southeast Europe, including Istanbul. This report will also be shared in advance by the Danish consulate in Istanbul through our social media channels in later stages. So we wanted to just show a bit about Turkey and a bit about Istanbul. And last but not least, I think a manager from a Danish company established in Turkey, İsmail Şincik from AVK Turkey, will do his presentation on his experiences from the local market. İsmail Bey, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seda Hanım. I'm now sharing my screen. Please let me know when you see.
Everything is fine.
Thank you. Hello. Thanks for joining us today. My name is İsmail Şincik. I'm country manager for AVK International. AVK is a global valve and accessories manufacturer, and we are active in water, wastewater, fire protection, and gas distribution segments. And I am responsible, I have this duty since 2014, where I was assigned to establish our Turkish market. I'm currently responsible for Turkey, Azerbaijan, Iraq, and Turkish contractors working abroad. And in this short session, I'll try to tell you about both our experiences in the Turkish market and potential areas that you might consider participating in the market. So let me start with the market opportunity. As water is an essential resource for every human, the population is would give a clear idea about what's going on and where to focus. So as it was explained in the presentation previously, there are roughly 83 million population in Turkey, which is similar to Germany. And then this population is distributed in 71 cities. But the most dense areas are called metropolitan municipalities, metropolitan cities. And in Turkey, we have 30 of these, and 60 million of the population lives in these 30 metropolitans. And out of this, the top the densest 10 metropolitan cities has 40 million of the population. And then the top 5 has 30 million, and Istanbul itself has 15 million population. So in terms of municipal water and wastewater, Turkey is a very condensed market. And as Mr. Ünal explained, the metropolitan municipalities by law have to have a special purpose water management companies. These companies have abbreviations like İSKİ, BUSKİ, and it's for water and wastewater management. And these are owned by the municipality itself, but they are separate companies. So if you're thinking to participate in the Turkish market, it's quite easy to find the municipal end users. Going through these, let me give you a little bit more information about the market. As Mr. Ambassador explained, as Ms. Seda explained, the dams and irrigation is a segment. It's a big segment, and by investors, we can distribute the Turkish water market into 3 water wastewater markets. Dams and irrigation is one segment. The municipal water and wastewater is the second, and the industrial is third. With the information I have, since 2012 to 2018, the roughly market distribution is like this. In terms of total money spent, the dams and irrigations take, as of their bigger infrastructure need, take about 70% of the budget. And also, as Ms. Seda explained, there is quite much irrigation usage in Turkey, and the municipal takes 20 to 25, and the industrial takes the remaining 5 to 10%. And then, based on the spendings, these rates might change, but roughly these are like this. And if you're thinking to participate in the Turkish market, I would like to explain you a little bit about the players. So it's DSI. This is Turkish government state hydraulic works, and they're responsible for the main water supply and the basins. So the source of water is belonging to them, and all investments related to dams and also irrigation is handled by DSI. And then they're located in Ankara, and as well as in many cities they have their organization. And when we come to municipal water and wastewater, it's the 81 cities, they have their own organizations. The metropolitan ones have separate companies, and the remaining has within the municipality. So these 81 cities have 81 authorities dealing with these. And on top of this, we have İlbank, which Ms. Seda also explained, that this is the government's tool of financing the municipalities. İlbank also runs their own projects, and all international funds coming to Turkish municipalities for water and wastewater are also received by İlbank and paid by İlbank. So they're also going to their own water and wastewater tenders, as well as the municipalities. And there is another fund called IPA, and this is European Union's fund. It's called Instrument for Pre-Accession Assistance. So this is a fund provided to countries that are, let's say, in the process of participating in the EU. And Turkey has received 644 million euros for the period 2014 and 2020 for climate and environment action. And then this money has been spent on water and wastewater improvement in these years. And then comes the private sector. But this is also quite interesting because of Turkey's public and private public-private partnership scheme. And then, as you might know, the Istanbul airport, as well as multiple bridges and the nuclear power plant recently being manufactured is under this scope. And there are some more projects that are coming up. So this also amounts is a good opportunity, might be a good opportunity. And on top of all these, the actual work itself is done by the contractors. And Turkey has a very specific spot on these contractors, as well as domestic contractors. Turkey has many international contractors. According to ENR, the American organization's research, the top Turkey has 44 contractors within top 250 global contractors on the world. So Turkey is number 2 behind Chinese in terms of number of these international contractors, and it's a quite big opportunity. As AVK, we are mostly active in municipal water, wastewater, and industrial segments, and we are currently working with both İlbank IPA projects, as well as for example, the Istanbul airport, and international contractors working in Turkey and abroad. So this is a quite big potential for these companies who are thinking to participate in the Turkish market. So I'll give you about the major topics which we are also involved in. And the first one is water loss, as Mr. Ünal explained. The official rate is within Turkey is around about municipal water is 43%, and this equals to over 2 billion cubic meters per year, which is almost twice what Istanbul uses in a year. And a contributing factor to this is that the way we Turks use water is a little bit different than the water consumption is a little bit different. According to research in 2018, it's Turkey, the consumption per capita is around 224 liters, whereas in Denmark this was 104. It's a little bit over twice the usage, and this is a little bit related to the culture as well. And municipalities are working towards this goal as well. And the second one is wastewater treatment. According to official figures, 88% of the municipal wastewater is being treated before release. And then it's a very active sector. This percentage has increased quite tremendously in the past 5 years. And we are also very active. We are taking a very active role in this part for development of wastewater treatment plants. And the recent IPA funds are mostly focused on this area. The third one, which it's not our field, but I know that it's also quite emerging topic, the energy efficiency, because energy is a big contributor of Turkey's budget deficit, and the government is using all of their tools to reduce the energy consumption. And municipal water, the water segment is, water and wastewater is the biggest contributor to energy consumptions of municipalities. So they are focused on this. And there's a new regulation on all of these areas. There are regulations on all of these areas. Let me start with the water laws. For water laws, Turkey has a law saying that all metropolitan municipalities have to reduce their water losses down to 30% by 2023. So it's a very stretched goal. It's around 2 years time frame has left, and the metropolitan municipalities have to reduce to this. And then until 2028, this number has to come down 5 more points. So the municipalities are they're incentivized to take action towards reducing this. And for energy efficiency, there's a new regulation coming up, which is allowing ESCO model for improving energy efficiency. And I believe, except for irrigation, these are the biggest topics that you can focus on. Based on our experience, let me tell you a little bit about the challenges. One of the biggest challenges is the local manufacturers. Turkey has a developed industry, especially in machining and casting, and this might be a good thing for the sourcing part, and we are also using this from Turkey. But it also means that Turkey has local manufacturers almost all areas of water segment and the equipment manufacturing. So local manufacturers is an issue, and especially, unfortunately, in the past 3 years, Turkey has been hit with several currency crises, and these crises push the government to take additional actions to favor local manufacturers. Especially the most recent tender regulation says that a Turkish manufacturer gives 15% price advantage to a local manufacturer. So let me illustrate this very basically. If an imported product is priced in index 100 and the local product in the same tender is priced at 114, the authority still has to choose the local product, so that it gives a very strict advantage to local manufacturers. As well as the same tender regulation also pushed for all tenders to be in Turkish Lira basis, so that this brings us to the topic of Turkish Lira versus Euro volatility. Unfortunately, these currency crises have so the Lira is not stable, and then this gives us issues mostly in the both in the decision making and financing of the deals. When you're participating to a tender as the company or otherwise your partners, local partners who are participating to tender, then they have to decide what's going to be the Lira Euro rate in the next upcoming 6 months, because that's practically the period for starting of the tender and the official period and afterwards the production of materials takes 4 to 6 months, and for some materials even more. So then someone has to take these risks, and assessing these risks have been the biggest, let's say, managing problem for us in the process. And then this brings out the financing issue. Unlike Europe, Turkey is not, for example, not very much covered by Euler, Hermes, or other different cash collection mechanisms. So that if you're trying to participate in the Turkish market, you need to find some ways for financing. And Danish financial institutions provide some solutions to these, but the potential solutions are quite limited for deals, for example, under 100,000 euros. So that these are the biggest, let's say, challenges that we are dealing most recently, and this financing has been the biggest challenge in the past 2 years, let's say. So finally, let me come to how you can participate in the Turkish market. As Ms. Seda also explained, local presence is needed because, as I mentioned, Turkish manufacturers are already here. Many international companies are already participating in the Turkish market because of its big potential for 83 million people. So that as a new entrant, your local presence will also be needed. A Turkish person that's speaking, going to the authorities and speaking for you is needed, and at some time a Turkish documentation will also be needed. And this can be supplied in several ways. Like you can start with partnering with people. You can start at a liaison office, which we also chose this way, and we manage our partner relations through a liaison office. Or otherwise, you can start a sales company or either acquire a Turkish manufacturer in this sense. And our main strategy, and that's which worked, is that acting like an evangelist in these authorities, so that telling them better ways of handling water, let's say for less water consumption, less water loss, as the Trade Council runs energy neutral wastewater management, water management. Like these of evangelist approach is, I believe, what works, because as per my 7-year experience in the Turkish market, the new generation of engineers are much more interested in innovative solutions wherever it comes from, and then it's in a price where no one wins. So that seems to be the only way, and it's also the strength of Danish culture and companies, as far as I can see. So that I suggest you to go through that strategy. And then one more thing: if you're trying to, if you're looking for the Turkish market, please consider it as a hub. Our office's contact information is available on the international website, and most of the let's say new contacts coming from Balkans, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Iraq, Middle East, and even stun countries, they're finding my contact information and contacting me directly, thinking that the Turkish office might be responsible for them. So that is, Turkey has this let's say figure of being a hub. And unfortunately, with COVID, the travel has been restricted. But most of these countries, people are coming to Turkey as a touristic location as well. And with the transportation infrastructure, Turkey, especially Istanbul, is a great hub. Turkish Airlines fly to most destinations in the world. You can think about these countries also, as well as Africa and the Far East. Turkey has a very good, can act as a local hub. And Istanbul is also a hub for reaching out to Turkey. Turkey is much bigger geographically compared to European countries, but from Istanbul you can find daily flights to all cities in Turkey. So it's having a hub in Turkey and in Istanbul is an advantage towards that. And lastly, Trade Council has been a helping hand for us in these past years in our adventure. And I hope that, I believe that they will also serve you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ismail. It was very interesting hearing your presentation, and we have a little bit time left for some few questions. One question in the chat is regarding smart water, and I know that's also a focus area within the AVK group. Could you elaborate a little bit about how you see smart water entering the Turkish market, and also the challenges, or at least the needs in the Turkish market for smart water technologies?
Yeah, smart water is it's actually bringing more data to the idea is to give more data to the hands of authority to make better decisions, and especially for water losses, this is a very critical area because you have to zone the loss area to find where the losses actually happened, and then to cut the losses and make the repair that's needed. And we have developed, we have several developed technologies towards smart water, and we start to present these to authorities. The need is there, that's clear, because more data from the field, from the network is needed to make those decisions and act precisely. But especially, as I told you, the currency crisis and ever increasing euro-lira rate is giving us a shorthand towards budget of these new technologies.
Yeah, that's definitely also something that we are looking at, the currency crisis in Turkey, and also the development in that regard when it comes to investments. We also have a comment about market insight reports about energy efficiency and water loss management, and perhaps Seda, that's something that the Trade Council of Denmark could provide. You did mention a report going out shortly, so that's not a question to you, Ismail, but since time is running out a bit, you have time, the audience, that is, you have time to ask your questions, but we will also follow up. If you have any questions, you can also ask them in the email going out from our side. You are more than welcome to ask questions directly to us after this webinar. Ismail, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
And thank you also to the other speakers. We are now moving into the final sector of this webinar, being the next steps carried out. And I will just briefly see if you can put on my slides just a minute, and then we have the opportunity just to talk about the next steps in the Danish-Turkish dialogue. Because what are the current activities considered, and what kind of activities are in the planning? Sorry. I know for a fact that the Trade Council of Denmark is doing individual matchmaking and follow-up from the completed workshop with local water utilities. So please reach out to Seda if you're interested in that. Then we also are thinking about, or at least the Trade Council of Denmark is thinking about inviting a technical delegation from Turkey to Denmark later this year or in the beginning of next year, considering the current travel restrictions. And then we would also like to hear you. Are you interested in us making a business delegation visit to Turkey next year? Then please reach out to us, because the application deadline is May 4th. And we will ask all Danish companies in this webinar to show their interest. And please do that before the end of April. We will also ask you this question in the follow-up email. So without further ado, I will actually, since time is up, I would like to thank you all for attending this webinar. And this is both on behalf of the Danish Export Association as well as the Trade Council of Denmark in Turkey. Perhaps, Seda, you also have a few comments in the end of this webinar.
Thank you so much for all the participants and speakers. I can just add that our cooperation with Marmara Union of Municipalities is continuing, and in September we will be focusing on finance and investments side, which is of course critical in all the challenges and opportunities we are talking about. So we are in close dialogue with EKF, Danish Exim Bank, and some other financing tools from Denmark. So we will, the participants of this webinar will be also just informed about this critical topic when the time comes, and our cooperation with Horizont will continue. And now we established, I think, good relations with over 30 water utilities in Turkey, and whenever the COVID-19 situation allows us, we think about physical delegations to both sides, from Turkey to Denmark and from Denmark to Turkey. But in the meantime, I think we will continue our virtual meetings and one-to-ones with the Turkish utilities and municipalities. So if there is any interest from the Danish side, please contact us. And all these presentations will be shared, which was a question asked a couple of times in the chat box. So I think that's the final words, and thank you so much to all for contributing and being there with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a really nice weekend to everybody, and thank you, Seda, for the collaboration.
Bye-bye.